That there's always that temptation, just like there is with politicians. There's that red line that you're not supposed to cross. I know that a couple times as a detective, I'd come right up to it, but I didn't cross it. Unfortunately, there are people in all walks of life that do, and, I guess you could simply say that they have no character,
No, that's scary. And if it can be local government or state government or the federal government, I mean, that's what...
It can be across the board, yeah.
But I'm going to blame this on all the people out there, because you know what? When Hitler took power, what did the people do? They were scared to do anything about it. When the Jews were gathered up, they were scared because they could have fought their way and they could have ended what happened. It could never have gone as far as it went if they would have rebelled right from the start. Okay?
Well, I'm gonna make a comment about that, and I
go ahead.
I know you probably have some people that are going to get upset at me, but it's just a historical fact. Hitler outlawed the use of civilian firearms in 1935 and told everybody, gee, we're going to have this great state, and everything's going to be safe. Yeah, well, it's going to be safe for a certain group of people, but the rest of them are, SOL. You watched that happen. I watched it happen well, I didn't watch it personally, but Nazi Germany had happened, in China it happened, in Cambodia it happened, and they're working on that same scenario here.
They are.
I am not a gun nut, but all I'm saying is that when you take the people's ability to defend themselves against tyranny away from them, and they have no way to do that, you basically, who are the people that have all the weapons? And it's the military and the police. And I don't want to live in a society like that.
I will say this. Now, people are going to get mad at me. You might get mad at me. But later on, down the road, as our morals change as a country, and it has changed drastically, we're not living in the Donna Reed era of time anymore.
Nope.
Okay?
No.
Or if people don't know who Donna Reed is, let's go Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, Dr. Welby time. Okay? We're not living in that time anymore. We're living in a time where a lot of people think they have morals, but they don't. They don't have the morals we used to have, that I grew up with, what you grew up with. Now, down the road, when you want to create a police force or bring in recruits, you go through psychological testing. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, down the road, they can change that testing. Oh, we want the people that are a little bit more aggressive, more people willing to take whatever they're asked to do. That is what we have to worry about in the future.
No, you bring up a really interesting point, and I'm glad that you did. I had friends of mine that we were. We erred on the side of being a little bit, I guess people would use the label conservative, just as far as having a set of values and having a set of morals, and there's certain things that you just don't do. If you want to call that being a conservative, okay. But I totally agree with you. The guys that I know now that are retired like me, one of the things that scares the absolute bejesus out of me are these young kids that have come in there, and if you gave them an unlawful order, they wouldn't even know that it was unlawful, and they would follow it. And that's what scares me, is that you get these kids out there that have a badge, they have a gun, they've got all these modern weapons, and somebody comes along with a political agenda and tells them this is what they're supposed to do. They're going to follow it. Now, you're also going to have a group that are going to say, hey, that's an unlawful order. But too many kids, in my opinion, through a lot of different scenarios, have been dumbed down and wouldn't even know that it was an unlawful order, Gary, and that's what scares me.
Well, you hit it on the nail head. And on top of it, our constitutional rights as a citizen is going down. The DNA...
They are eroding daily.
The DNA testing going into family histories and doing stuff like that is invasive. It's against the Constitution. It's against your rights. But you know what? We're losing it all. Pretty soon it's going to be, you get a traffic ticket. Oh, we're going to take your DNA. I mean, why do they need everybody's DNA? Well, yeah, they're going to catch some bad people. I don't think they're going to catch all, but you know what? Maybe somebody, that guy's son might go rob a liquor store 10 years from now, and we got the DNA to catch him. It's scary. It's setting people up.
There were cases that I can remember having as a detective that I wasn't real happy. The defense engineered a case, and they based it on emotion, not facts, but they were basically able to persuade a jury that their client didn't do what they were accused of doing. Okay, they got off. I basically learned that, hey, you win some, you lose some. That's the world, Did I go out of my way to plant evidence to get somebody? No, I never did that. Did I have to necessarily like what the verdict was? No, I didn't. And there were some defense attorneys that I really liked because they were good at engineering that, and I became friends with them because I understood they had a job to do. The Constitution is what this government is supposed to be based on. And they did a good job defending their client. Okay, can I get mad at them for that? No. They did what they were supposed to do. I didn't have to like the outcome, but I didn't blame the attorney for that.
Well, that's the whole point of the court systems. But that, again, it just seems like everything in our society is changing drastically. They're talking about they want to start chipping people. Why do we need? Oh, well, you can ship them. Then later on don't have to give credit cards. They just wipe their hand. Okay, good. You go in the hospital. They take all your chip out of your hand. Everything. It's getting to the point you're losing your freedom. They putting up cameras where they can sit there and identify people. China is really good at that. But they want to do it here, and they're starting to do it here. I mean, society is not, like I said, it's not like Donna Reed or Leave It to Beaver anymore. It's scary.
I think 666 is part of that computer chip thing that you're talking about.
I didn't want to say that, but that's fine.
That's my opinion.
Well, I'm telling you, our future is down the road. I'm not trying to paint a picture, but, unless the people, sit there and look at this. Why do we allow what's going on to happen? People, if they wrote into their congressmen, wrote into their senators like mad, if everybody did, they would realize, hey, you know what? If they got letters saying, if you're going to do this, we're not going to vote for you. We're going to find somebody else. Again, it is scary. Back in the 80s, I ran for Congress. And after a month and a half going out and doing a little bit of speeches, I came to the conclusion it was not a job for me. And I quit. That was it. I quit campaigning, and that was it. I started seeing how things were. And it's scary, my friend. And a lot of people might go in with the right attitude at the start, but it's all self-centered for the majority of them. It's for them and what they get out of it.
Well, unfortunately, that's true, and that's one of the reasons that I wrote that political satire, Harpies, on the birds from hell taking that errant politician away.
I don't know, James. You're awful, really quiet. What are you eating? Your cereal? You're not. I don't even hear you doing that. I don't hear any munching.
No, I'm not eating the cereal. I'm trying to get these daggone computers. My lights burning out on me, and my ceiling lights, and all kind of things going AWOL.
Well, you know why.
Tell the truth. You were waiting for me to send you that quart of half and half. Come on.
I have been waiting for that. I got to give that a whirl.
I got something I want to say. Why is it when I bring certain guests on, and we talk about certain subjects, their phone lines go crazy, and I don't care if it's on their landline and we switch over to their cell phone, we start talking the same subject, it goes crazy. I talk very political here tonight, which I normally don't do, and there's been no problem.
Okay, So what you're saying is, am I responsible for you being down to 300 listeners?
Now, 149. But no, what I'm saying is, you know what it is? A friend of mine, or an ex-friend of mine, I should say, said that there's certain people are being monitored out there. And if you talk to that person, you automatically are now on that list. And then the person you talk to gets on that list. So when that person gets on to a talk show, was noted for talking about, let's say, abductions, for example, and voices his views, all of a sudden, they play games, and then all of a sudden the phone lines go bad, and weird things go on. And James, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I won't mention the name of some of the guests, but yeah, they go off every time. We've had one experiment 3 or 4 times with the same guest with 3 or 4 different phone lines, and the same results every time.
Well, one of them,
James, they must consider me boring then.
So you must not be on the list yet. You're not doing the circuit of talk shows. But, this one guy, very well known, and he's probably listening to the show, but I can tell you, after the time before, he went and had a new phone put in, had the phone line checked, went out and bought a military-grade cell phone for backup. Lo and behold, the phone company checked out and said there's no problems with his line. Again, he had a new phone. Everything worked good when we tested it before going on the air. Go on the air. We talk about his abduction and some of the stuff, with Dr. Roger Lear. All of a sudden, going on the line. And then, okay, I say to him, hey, let's hang up and you call me on your cell phone. Okay, it's fine. So I mention, okay, well, what happened at this point?
Well, I told you about that friend of mine that was in the Army Security Agency that literally shut down, I think it was Philadelphia, for 10 minutes. They basically shut the grid down. People don't realize what technologies they have at their disposal, and if they basically want to shut you down or they want to make your life miserable, they're totally capable of doing it. I knew that just because of the people that I talked to and because of the clearances I had and the information that some people took upon themselves to share with me. But that is a reality of what we live in. And like I said, they must find me really boring because you haven't had any problems tonight. So,
well, we can always work on that. But anyway, again, people out there, this is.
Are you going to put me on another list?
Yeah, I'm not going to put you on. James will put you on the list when he finds his color crayon. But I will say this. Okay, Metatron Power and Light. You need to check him out on Spotify, Google, and all those, and download his music. It's fantastic. If you're in the paranormal, just want something a little bit different. If you're a trucker out there, I'll tell you what, I think the number one song out there for a lot of truckers is Jake. I tell you, what can I say? I get more requests for that.
Here's a new one. I think you'll like it even better.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, anything either one of you want to say? We're down to like 3 minutes.
Yeah, James, I'm going to up the ante to a half a gallon, a half and half.
Oh, you're trying to make me fat, aren't you?
Was that half vermouth and half vodka?
Yeah, there you
go.
Well,
Gary, the only thing I'll say is one of these days I'll have to tell you about my sojourn with the police psychiatrist when I was a young recruit, and I pissed him off really bad, but I still passed.
Well, that's good. As long as you didn't have him eating the pencil when you were talking to him.
No, he kicked me out of his office, though. He didn't appreciate my sense of humor, so.
Yeah, when I was in the Army, I had to talk to one of the Army psychiatrists, right? About something, and I noticed halfway through the conversation, I said to the psychiatrist, I said, now look, I should be sitting in your chair and you should be sitting on mine. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, because you got way more problems than mine. And the guy goes, what do you mean? I said, look, you're sitting there taking your pencil and sticking it in your ear and twisting it.
Oh, God.
Okay, you're picking your nose. You're looking at the ceiling. And you kind of like rolling your eyes back. That's not normal. And then you know what? Afterwards he said, you know what? You are 100% right, and said goodbye.
Gee.
Well, when you're a police recruit, they make you take this 4-hour-long test called the